Hello, welcome to Tuesday Live. I am Omini Odan. Concerns are high over developments and issues that undermine Nigeria's reputation. These analysts say include kidnappings, terrorism, herders and farmers clashes, and other insecurity challenges in states such as Plateau, Nasarawa, Benue, Kaduna, Taraba, Ondo, and Rivers. Consequently, millions of persons are displaced and this affects socio-economic development and growth. Nigeria for years have been a safe haven where peace and tranquility reigned. What then went wrong? Many questions, one wonder. Factors such as bad leadership, corruption, illiteracy, and wrong ideology have been advanced by analysts. What is the way out? How can the government and citizens rebuild trust? Where should it start? How sincere are Nigerians in addressing security challenges? Where is the position of technology in improving security? How can new methods proposed facilitate sustainable peace? How educated are farmers and herders on the gains of colonies, since grazing areas are what the government and people knew in the past? Answers after this background report by Olajide Bello.
The armed forces and other security operatives in the year 2017 recorded huge success in combating and degrading insurgents, armed robbery, farmers' herders clashes, kidnapping, pirate activities, as well as pipeline vandalism. This feat was made possible through President Muhammadu Buhari, who supported and equipped the armed forces and other security apparatus with necessary logistics and state-of-the-art equipment. 2018 was ushered in with the presidential broadcast describing the year as pivotal in his administration's quest for change, assuring that security of lives and property is paramount.
I must reassure my fellow citizens that security of life and property is still top of our government's agenda. We have since beaten Boko Haram. Our government remains determined to protect all Nigerians in line with our election pledge and promises.
The New Year mayhem in Rivers State, the Benue herders attacks by a suspected militia group in Taraba State, as well as suicide bomb attacks in Gamboru, Borno State, leading to loss of lives and property, almost changed the hopeful tone of the new year.
I think what the government should do is not whether the action taken by government is sufficient or commensurate with the crisis at hand, but we should try as much as possible to reduce the problems by addressing some of the issues being raised.
I think it's very important because perhaps for the first time we are getting the military and the police involved, and then we need to start looking at how we can start improving our intelligence gathering.
But President Buhari immediately deployed security operatives to contain the crisis in the affected areas with strong directive to heads of security apparatus, especially the Nigeria Police Force, to end the crisis and bring the perpetrators to book.
There was a presidential directive by Mr. President that the heartless killers, the perpetrators of that mayhem, must be hunted down, brought to book.
While the police team trailed and tracked down some of the gang members, there was an exchange of fire that lasted several hours. In the process, 6 of these suspects fell to the superior firepower of the intelligence response team. And one Desmond Okutubo, who is an active member and who did participate in the killing of innocent people at Omoko in Rivers State, was arrested.
President Buhari has assured Nigerians that measures have been put in place towards ameliorating the situation of all victims, as relevant agencies have been tasked to take up humanitarian services. In Abuja, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
Curbing insecurity in Nigeria is the focus on Tuesday Live tonight, and somewhere along the program we'll break. We'll excuse the guests on this set and come up with another topic tonight on irregular migrants in Nigeria. You know very well the federal government led a high-powered delegation to Libya, and a lot of mileage has been covered in that direction. We shall be looking at it on arrival. What next in Nigeria when the migrants arrive? Tuesday Live is a program, and as you know, as the program progresses, we'll have calls coming onto the program. If you are true to us on the live studio, please turn on the volume of your set to avoid a hallback or the echo. It's a full house tonight, covering insecurity in Nigeria. To my right, joining us is Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of operations, Habila Joshak. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good evening, viewers.
Director, Army Public Relations, Nigerian Army, Brigadier General Sani Osman Kokashika. You're welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for having me on the program.
Also on Tuesday Live tonight is Major General Nuhu Anbazo, Chief of Civil Military Affairs, Nigerian Army.
Good evening, viewers, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. National Secretary, Mayeta Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, Magban, Baba Usman Ngeljama. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, viewers.
Beautiful. Well, you saw the opening, so many questions, and I can be sure our viewers watching us live will be expecting wonderful, proactive, and thought-provoking answers from you, gentlemen. Once again, thanks for joining us on Tuesday Live. Quickly, let me throw a general one here. How would you assess the security architecture in the country amidst the feeling of insecurity across the country? Let me start with you.
Thank you so much. In comparing the security architecture with the performance of the security agencies, I would say there is a lot much that we could do to reduce the insecurity and incessant committing of crimes in whatever guises than now. There are other areas that I know too that there has been a lot of effort and there has been significant improvement. But like I said, there is a deliberate attempt by the security agencies and other military formations to synergize and up the performance so that we can reduce to the barest minimum some of these challenges. So I can say there are attempts and there are physical effort made to make sure that we get it right by coming together and sharing ideas and then improving on a lot of things like intelligence. And if we synergize, I'm sure we're going to get it up. But we have a tax, we have agreed, but we have a way out which we're discussing and we're improving.
Okay, I said it's a general question. Let me take on Brigadier General Usman.
Well, I believe the DIG has spoken and he spoke very well. And if you're talking about the security architecture vis-a-vis the land mass and the population of this country, I know to some extent, I think it's quite adequate. But just like everything in life, there is still room for improvement. And if you are looking at structure, I mean security in the real sense of the word, it is no longer the issue of physical security. There are so many aspects associated with it. You can even think about food security and a host of other things. To that extent, I think what it requires is harmonization of effort, not necessarily with just the security agencies, but the various stakeholders. By stakeholders, I mean the overall generality of the Nigerian populace. Everybody has a role to play when it comes to issue of national security or security of this country. And a lot is being done by the security agencies, of course the military, and we still have so much room for improvement in terms of seeing the issue of security as a collective responsibility in this nation.
Okay. Yeah, just to add a little to what my colleagues have really mentioned, the issue of security as we see it is something that involves synergy between civil and military and security agencies. And that synergy is that is born of mutual respect and mutual assurances that the weakest link in any security infrastructure actually, translates to the level of security of that nation or that organization as a whole. So the more secured we are, the more secured each individual is, the more secured we are collectively. And when such issues that challenge, our country come up, and the security agencies are seen to be working together in conjunction with the civil society, that brings out the issues that help us in being able to curb insecurity in this nation. So it is really important that that is emphasized and that is encouraged.
Okay. Bossman.
The professionals have spoken. I am a layman as far as security is concerned, but I know it is a concern of everybody. Even the civilians have a role to play in providing security. I must confess that there is a general improvement, more especially in the areas of cattle rustling. We have seen a lot of improvements. Cattle are being collected from the rustlers. Members have been identified. They are being released to their members. This is what is going on currently in Kaduna. So on the general outlook, there is serious improvement as far as security is concerned, and kidnapping too is dropping by the day. So this is a confession I must make, but the professionals have spoken.
Okay, I'm happy you're coming from a civilian perspective. I'm not seeing you from Meitial. I'm seeing you as a Nigerian who's on the street there. But let me take on a Major General Angbazo. A good number of persons out there, let me not use the word Nigerian, because when we say Nigerians, we have Nigerians, foreigners alike within the country. Imagine and feel that a lot is wrong with security in Nigeria. Do you share in this view? And where did we get it wrong?
Yeah, I wouldn't, that is their own views, but I wouldn't share in that view, in the sense that threats to a nation or to communities, it's always evolving. At one time in the history of this country, we never heard about armed robbery. It may be petty theft, somebody goes to steal a good. For a long time, we've not heard about issues having to do with rustling, cattle rustling. But we are seeing, because of various factors, some are environmental, others are, geographical. But the issue really is that, are the security agencies robust enough to be able to meet up to these challenges? And I think that is where the directive, the national directive, which is, we're happy that, the president has given clear directives on so many issues having to do how to tackle these things. And he has permitted down to the various services. So the question really is, the perception, it's not what is being seen on the ground, in the sense that we are always evolving means to counter various challenges. We have seen the great successes that have occurred in the Northeast. Boko Haram has been degraded completely. But however, there are other challenges that are coming up. And these challenges, like we're seeing in the herdsmen, cattle, pastoral and the farmers' clashes, are things that are being further amplified with the introduction of weaponry. So that, again, as we earlier mentioned, calls for synergizing amongst the services with the civil society, who are yearning for peace. And I can assure you that is going to be addressed.
Okay, let me go to Baba Usman, the National Secretary of Meitial. I can imagine introducing you on this program, some persons who would have gone somewhere to hang out will say, no, let me watch When you mention Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association in Nigeria, a good number of persons out there imagine violence, trouble, people who are there who are a cock in the wheel of progress. But speaking here tonight, a lot will be amazed for you to say you are even commending the security agencies, mostly in the, well, you complimented them in your area, cattle rustling. Is Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association a violent group? Because that is the impression a lot of persons out have. So clear the name of the association. Some have even said it should be declared a terrorist group.
This is a wrong notion. We have been misunderstood by the general public. But an average Fulani man, that is the people we represent, they are peaceful. We all know them. We have been living with them for decades. They are everywhere in the Nigerian community. You can find them anywhere. They are living peaceful with the communities they live. I always say it. No matter how daft a person is, you cannot imagine somebody who moves with his family, children. If he has money, he moves with his money. And the cow, which is his only source of livelihood, that is what he depends on with all his family. And he has been looking over these cows for years. Maybe he must have inherited the cows from his forefathers. Maybe he inherited maybe not more than 10. He has been looking over them day out, see them multiply into 50, 100, 200 over the time, moving in search of pasture and water for his herds, living in a vulnerable place open for all sorts of attack. So you cannot imagine this person, no matter how daft he is, he can go and provoke trouble for him to get killed and his only means of livelihood vandalized. We are a misunderstood society, and I'm also surprised the way the media is portraying us this way, simply because to smear our names. We have our share of criminals, just like any other society in this country. We have them too. Any other society has criminals. We have criminals in our midst too. These criminals sometimes perpetrate crime, and most of the times the media, before even investigating to find out who is real culprit, that crime is associated to the pastoralists. Sometimes we believe there's a political undertone in these allegations. Sometimes we believe, well, maybe because the president is a Fulani man, so when the politicians want to attack the president, we become battleground for politicians who want to attack the president. Sometimes we think this way. But if not, an average Fulani man is a peaceful man. It is only a Fua man that fights. We are not Fua. We move in search of water and pasture. We're moving with all the wealth we have. It's clear.
Okay, just like you said, in stemming or checking the bad eggs among you, have you been working hand in hand to ensure that they identified and handed over to law enforcement agents?
The military officers and the police sitting here with me can testify to that. We have been working closely with them. See, today we have peace in Katsina State. Who is responsible for that peace? It is the Katsina State government in collaboration with Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association. In Katsina before this time, 2-3 years back, farmers don't go to the farm for fear of attack. And the pastoralists don't dare come into the town for fear of also attack from the town people. But today, because of the improvement of security in Katsina State, everybody is moving, doing his normal business. For the first over 1 year, we have never experienced a situation where 1 or 2 people were killed in Katsina or cattle were wrestled in Katsina. And there's a general improvement in Zamfara too. The military can testify of our collaboration. We always collaborate with them. We collaborate with the police. You can find out from all the police commissioners in this state that we mentioned. We work hand in hand with them. Sometimes we even assist them to fish out the criminals among us.
Nasarawa and Benue State inclusive.
And Benue State as well. But Nasarawa is a typical example. There is peace in Nasarawa. Before this time, you knew what took place in Nasarawa. But today, there is peace. The governor, the police commissioners, they are working closely with me. That's why we have peace.
I just believe you understand why I gave you this time, because truly the impression out there, but I believe you're clearing the air now on that.
Exactly.
But let me get to
misunderstood society in this country.
Deputy Inspector General of Operation Habila Joshak. how true are the factors that are responsible for bad leadership? Some people have said that part of this problem is bad leadership, corruption, illiteracy, wrong ideology, and other predisposing factors. Can they be contributing factors to this?
They may remotely, but I disagree that it's bad leadership and maybe absence of some social amenities or the ability of government to provide the necessary to its citizens. It is not true. Because among those that precipitate and find themselves in crime and criminality, you discover that they are not the downtrodden ones. And therefore, I think to say that is to find an escape route. Rather, I don't know our value system. If we're contented and if we know that we have to live upright, you don't need anybody to remind you that the civic responsibility of a good citizen. And so I would not want to agree that bad leadership results into crime and criminality. But of course, there are people who would not want to bend down to work hard, to plan, and live a life that is righteous. There are quite a lot of them that would want to key out and take a fast one to be able to, this quest for materialism and status and the quest that whether you like it or not, I'm going to disoppose, I'm going to go into a crime to be able to make money. There are some of them, like kidnapping, that you see is trying to replace armed robbery because it's less cumbersome and it's safer. And so I disagree that leadership could be the main cause of
corruption.
Corruption is one factor, and because of the quest for materialism, trying to put your signature and determine your position in authority by spreading wealth and living very, very luxuriantly. And so corruption also is one factor, but still there is a relationship. But I think the value system, our value system have been destroyed. We've thrown that to the dogs. And sometimes some of these things that you see happening, whether it's kidnapping or armed robbery or whatever, people want to vent their anger on one another, on their neighbor. So we're not our brother's keeper anymore, and we don't want to live a life, that is worthy of importance to one.
Okay, still on this line of thought.
Yes.
I remember vividly when you were appointed DIG in charge of operations, one of your major outings was along Kaduna-Abuja Expressway.
That's right.
Where you sounded to Nigerians and to perpetrators that a new sheriff is in town. Since then and now, would you say you have added value to it, or the value has dwindled?
Only if you are able to know
if
these things were not caught. If these things were not caught, and if the presence of security agencies and the military is not on that road, something else would have happened. It's not yet Uhuru, and I can't clap hands for what has happened, but I'll tell you that we've been able to know what exactly it is. Just that as we continue to perfect strategies, so also the criminals are also trying to take a step ahead of us. But I can tell you today that we have it on records, both the security agencies and the military, the kind of successes that we've recorded. But of course, unless it's reduced to the barest minimum, and people are sure of their safety, we can't clap our hands. And therefore, there's still time. But I can tell you that that promise and that action that we took, we're still building on that. And every day, we strategize and bring new ideas. And so that one, I cannot say that it was wrong, and I can still repeat this because occasionally you see us mobilizing and going in.
Yes, generalize the operations.
Yeah, it was a red one.
I'm not being specific here.
We are on course, and I want to say that synergizing and putting more effort on that road.
Okay.
And I can assure you that it will soon be a thing of the past.
Okay, that leads me. Let me take on Brigadier General Kukasheka. We have talked about part of the problem has been maybe operating in silos, but the need for synergy, collaboration has been identified to stem security challenges in the country. Most often, when you speak to a Nigerian out there, say, oh, the Nigerian military is doing well, but the Nigerian police is doing well, but the DSS is doing well, but there's always a but to it. So the question is, how can the government and citizens rebuild trust, and where should it start? Because it looks as though that absolute trust is not there.
Well, a lot is being done in that direction by both the government and, of course, the good people of this country, especially some of the non-governmental organizations. I could remember I was in Kaduna some time ago. Coincidentally, I stumbled into a seminar room, of course, journalists being synthesized, and to my greatest surprise, you know, good Nigerians have come together, coming from various parts of the country, particularly from the northwest and the north central, you know, conscientizing each other about the need for peaceful coexistence. And they have taken it up beyond Kaduna and Plateau State. They are even going upward or downward up to southern states. Now, I know this is just one. There are several other non-governmental organizations, be it the traditional institutions, and even elder statesmen and other organizations, particularly the media also, you know, coming out with seminars on conflict reporting and a host of other things. And on the part of the government, you are a living witness to the renewed vigor in terms of synergy and collaboration among the military and other security agencies. And I can give you several instances. Way back last year, there was an even introduction. We don't have to wait for occasional things where we have field training exercises or joint operations. Even our common activities such as physical training, exercises and all the rest, it is no longer just the exclusive military alone. And you know, we have route marches and we have sports activities and a host of other things. And I know, particularly for the Nigerian Army and indeed other services too, all the field training exercises that were carried out throughout the training cycle of last year were mostly joint trainings that involved not just the armed forces of Nigeria, but including the police, Department of State Services, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, and other paramilitary and civil organizations. And beyond that also, the stakeholders are also being taken on board. Take, for instance, traditional rulers. And good thing, the Chief of Civil Military Affairs is here. He can tell you the number of town hall meetings they have had last year, and I believe he has quite a number on his kitties this year in order to bring that synergy of effort and understanding between the military, the security agencies, and of course the Nigerian people. It's all part of the government effort, you know, being delegated to the various services and of course security agencies. So many other things are being done, and I can rest assured you that is why we are having the successes we have been having. Luckily enough, even the Secretary General of Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association is just here. We are seeing him for the first time, and look at the encomiums he's fine, and what he is telling you actually is the absolute truth. It is because of this synergy of effort now that we have this understanding, not only in these states that he has mentioned, including Zamfara State, not necessarily Kaduna State. And one interesting thing even, the military just recently in Rijana, for those people who are familiar with the Kaduna-Abuja road, beyond the normal Fulanis that are settling there, even the Bagis, now they are bringing the various residents or inhabitants together so that there will be
you know, that kind of understanding among themselves, and there is synergy of effort and more security consciousness, and a lot is being done.
Okay. Well, Tuesday Live is interactive. At some point, the lines will be open. I will put it through. When you're through, turn down the volume of your set and go straight to your point. Well, something of major concern, and let me leave this to the three officers here tonight, is when are we going to have some technology holistically introduced in the Nigerian security architecture? You go out in other climes and you overspeed in some environment. Within seconds, a police vehicle or a police team accosts you and stops you and say you did this, without necessarily being at the checkpoint. We have so much of physical security in Nigeria, and some persons feel that this is part of the problem. It looks as though the technology in security is, people have more confidence in it. When can we attain this? Let me start with you, sir.
Okay. Well, let me just start by, really, this is a very excellent question, and it actually underlines the fact that, for example, in the Nigerian Army, we have the Department of Transformation and Innovation. Now, the creation of that department was basically to be able to ensure that the Nigerian Army, based on technological and science, developments, is able to also integrate its own operations, and ensure that we are able to conduct our operations with the use of technology. And there have been many areas of such technology which we have domiciled it. We're working, on it to improve. And then at the same time, too, we are also, reaching out to other, countries where we are able to, acquire some of these technologies and apply them. Some of them, of course, are sort of restricted, and therefore we will not be able to mention them here. But I can assure you that the Chief of Army Staff is very interested, for example, on issues having to do with technology.
Okay.
He gets himself very much involved in reading and knowing, and then at the same time seeing how these things can be applied in ensuring that our operations, are successful. And we are applying them tremendously in the Northeast, for example. We are really applying them. So yes, it is very much on the top burner of our current projections, even for the future. And it presupposes that as the various security threats themselves manifest in various theaters, you will see that technology is being used, for good and evil. And for us to counter evil, we also have to be technologically enabled.
The lines are open now. Let's take this call from Sani, calling from Kaduna. Hello, Sani. Hello, Sani. You're on to Tuesday Live.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Sani Balarabe. I'm calling you from Regachukun, Kaduna.
Go ahead.
You see, from my own perspective, from my own point of view, I would like the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to involve, the traditional rulers in covering out security problems. Because by looking the statistics, figures of Nigerian population, which is about 200 million, you see, our population is increasing, geometrically now. And when we look to the social aspect of, standard of living in Nigeria is low. Meanwhile, the level of unemployment rate, is increasing. So I think my view is to involve the traditional rulers in carving out securities, because it is the district head down to the circuits, that's the village head, knows the varieties of people residing in their areas. Now, my other, observations and, a word of advice to Nigerians is that I'm appealing to all Nigerians to live in peace, because we have been living together. We met at the motor parks. Many of us, met at the motor parks. We board in the same plane. We worked in the same office. And why will we be fighting ourselves? It is, we have to do something very significant, to cope our securities. And, one of the problems of insecurity in Nigeria could be that unemployment. Because if somebody is not employed, he could be easily been given out some money or something of that nature to insecure the society. That's just my, a little bit point of, what would I call it, idea. Okay. You see, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sani. Thank you. Let me go straight to Joshak. I know the Nigeria police talks about community policing.
Yes.
He has touched on that, and maybe you have to educate him further on that.
Yes, it is true that for us to add value to our policing activities, policing policies, we should be able to carry everybody along. When we talk about community policing, it's a community policing that is domesticated. It's not a community policing that is imported outside. It is the ability of the security agencies to collaborate with all sectors of the public in any community. By that I mean in taking decision as to how to police an area. The members of the public must be able to make an input. In other words, traditional rulers, who are the custodian of every community's activities and way of life and belief, you need them around to tell you exactly what their problems are. In fact, community policing entails that you don't force down how to police a community, but you share with them. They should be able to tell you what their problems are, and that must be your priority. Okay. And in doing that, you also have to bring them in the decision making. So when you bring them in the decision making, they are able to tell you exactly what you should do to nip this in the bud. And by doing that, you are going to gain their confidence. They are also going to participate. And so what he has said is, we have the traditional rulers, the eminent persons forum, those of them that have been on position of authority and have had opportunity to undertake a lot of activities in governance and in public and are no more active. They are very, very useful in terms of policing a kind of community. The youth also have the ideas. They also have to be incorporated. And several other women organizations, if you bring these people together, they will be able to tell you issues that are challenged, that is challenging that community, okay, particularly security.
In the meantime, we are still expecting distinguished Senator Barnabas Gamade to join us on Tuesday Live tonight. Distinguished Senator Barnabas Gamade represents Benue Northeast Senatorial District of Benue State. Well, I know in most of your press releases to the media, you have always talked from the beginning of the onslaught of insurgency. You have always sustained kudos to the civilian JTF back in the Northeast. So given the contributions of Sani from Kaduna, what would you say in terms of engagement of the traditional ruler in security network?
Well, I think he's quite right. And thankfully, I think he's my namesake, so I'm not even surprised that Sanis are doing well. And honestly, if you recall what I've just said, when we talked about synergy of effort, I emphasized, or rather talked about the tremendous role
our royal fathers have been playing at the various level, up to from the national up to community level. And for those of us that have seen quite a number of years in life, we recall vividly, you know, the communal way of life in any given society, that whenever you have a strange face, you may not necessarily, you know, be unreceptive to that person, but definitely the traditional ruler will definitely have a say to, you know, the stability of the community hosting such persons. And I think, despite the fact that there are so many developments in our social construct, the traditional rulers have tremendous role to play, and I think a lot is being done towards that direction to engage them.
Okay, let me just hold this, sir. Abdul Kadri, all the calls for now are coming from Kaduna. Okay. Is on to Tuesday Live from Kaduna. Hello, Abdul Kadri. Hello, Abdul Kadri, you're on to Tuesday Live.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Go ahead.
Yeah, my regards to the guest in the studio, sir.
Thank you.
Well, sir, you see, it is obviously clear that our security personnel have done their everything possible best to see that there is peace in Nigeria. Well, you see, actually, I want to say kudos to our security agencies. They have been everything possible day by day and night to see that there is peace in Nigeria. And the issue of security is not it's not the issue of the security agencies alone, but rather we, the citizens, we have a vital role to play. I think, especially my advice to female Nigerians is to go back to God, both the Muslims and the Christians. We have been going to churches all the day, going to mosques all the time. Then we should go back to God and pray. The issue of security is from God. So when we pray for the success of our troops nationwide, I think we are praying for ourselves, for the peace to have a home's rest. And the issue of insecurity in some states, my advice to some state governments is to please stop politicizing the issue of security, and even the laws that they are making. Please let the state governments be consulting the traditional rulers and the group that are existing in their own state, so as not to create conflict by themselves. My regard to the guests in the studio, and I wish them a successful journey back to their own destinations. My name is Abdul Duko from Zaria City, Kaduna State, Nigeria. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Abdul Kadri. But naturally, I think when we come back, I will allow Chief of Civil Military Relations Affairs to speak, and Metiala. Quickly, the program once again is Tuesday Live, and tonight we are looking at curbing insecurity in Nigeria. Somewhere we'll break and come up with the next issue, which is on irregular migrants who have just come back to the country. But for now, we went to the streets and had a vox pop with Nigerians on the issue of curbing insecurity. Maybe after the vox pop, we'll sustain a discussion on that.
So the response of the government, whether federal government or the state government. You see, issue of security has been confined to those at the topmost level, because there are some villages where we don't have a police station. There are some villages where we don't have a medium whereby you can table your report in order for peace to reign. So in all these communities, people see themselves there as if they are free to do anything. We have government, we have law, we have constitution in this country. So we have to see to all these things and extend our ability of security to all these areas.
See, the orientation, I think the state, the federal, they need to imbibe the system of orientating the people, continue telling the people that there is nothing you gain by killing. That is just, and at the same time, justice need to be done.
There's a lot of sensitization through religious means. Everybody knows that if you are a true worshipper of the Most High or the Allah, it condemns killing. So anybody who maybe decides to be killing people is not a true worshipper based on the religion he feels to.
Not only Benue, in Nigeria, the simple solution to it is the fact that we must identify ourselves as one. You understand? If we do not identify ourselves as one, this crisis must continue. And that is why even the cause of labeling some people hard men, you understand, should not even come in. A Nigerian is a Nigerian. You understand? We know that we have diversity in terms of tribe, in terms of ethnicity, in terms of whatever you mention it. You understand? So many. But the fact that somebody is living in a place for 100 years, you understand, must come to state that that person is part and parcel of that state. And that is why we must identify ourselves as one. You understand? The issue of mentioning hard men, you understand, Fulani or Hausa or TV, all these things should come and set them aside. You understand? We must identify ourselves as a brother. You understand? A brother in terms of kinship, a brother in terms of everything. That will solve our problem. But by the time you segregate, or by the time you set somebody aside and you name him, you understand, a particular thing as a hard man, you understand, that crisis will not end. So let us be our brother's keeper. Let us identify ourselves as one, and it will give solution to it. Because at least, you see, the issue of a tribe is just for self-recognition.
Yes, those were the views of Nigerians on the streets, and if you agree with me, they dwelt around the strength in diversity, sincerity, orientation, justice, and religion. So, let me take on you.
Yes. Well, you know, when you listen to such, you feel, you get a sense that, look, by and large, the Nigerian is a very good man. We are a good people, and this is a great nation. And when we are challenged, the issues that they've brought of us uniting, looking in and respecting each other, being able to identify the various security agencies and bringing out such grievances to them instead of taking laws into their hands. The Nigerian Army, for instance, has the Nigerian Army call center. And I know the police also have theirs in almost every part of the country. And these are areas where we can easily make your call from anywhere. And the call number, for example, is 193. That is available from any network anywhere in the world, in the country. Now, that presupposes that, look, we can actually overcome any type of security challenge. And whatever is available here, we are seeing the successes recorded in the Northeast, in which all the security services are now coming in to stabilize. We're in the stabilization phase right now. And we believe that these other issues that have come up are issues that certainly where the security services and the citizens come together and agree on, on exchanging ideas, on being able to report those elements that tend to bring division into, our country. It's very important that is emphasized, and platforms like the NTA are the best platforms for such.
Okay.
And we're very grateful for that.
Thank you. I'll come to you, Maychala. Let's take this call from Biba, calling from Kano. Hello, Biba. Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Biba.
Yeah, this is Biba from Kano.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let me begin by commending the efforts of our security agencies in Nigeria. We really appreciate their efforts in tackling the issue of insecurity, particularly in the northeast and other states in northern Nigeria and Nigeria at large. And secondly, what I would like to call particularly to our political leaders is let we understand that Nigeria is our country. We have no any other nation but Nigeria. No matter where you come from, no matter the religion you practice, it's part of our responsibility to put in our minds that Nigeria is our country. Wherever we are going to go, as a political leaders, please, my appeal is before bringing anything, make sure they have expanded their thinking in order not to do anything that will trigger trouble in Nigeria. Because Nigeria is our country, we must do anything that will protect the peace in Nigeria. This is my appeal to our political leaders. Try to do anything that will augment the peace in Nigeria, not anything that will bring trouble in Nigeria, please. Secondly, my appeal is to our media houses. Please, our media have the responsibility in uniting Nigeria. Whenever there is anything in Nigeria, my appeal to our media is to know the kind of reports to disseminate. Because majority of Nigerians, some of us, we have a myopic thinking. As a journalist, you have the responsibility to make sure that your country is at peace. When there is anything in any part of Nigeria, please, our press men should know the kind of report to what? To propagate. Because some of the people cannot understand things the way they are. So my appeal is, as I said earlier, on to our media houses. Because when you are to give any news, make sure they give it in the way that common man in the villages or in our streets can understand it, not to do things that will what? That will augment the crisis, please. This is my appeal, and I want our security agencies to monitor our means of spreading news, both on social media, on our TV and radio and newspapers, because Nigeria is our country. We all love Nigeria. May God Almighty continue to protect Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Biba. I think quickly he raised two major concerns there, political leaders, the media. I'll leave that to Kukashika, but let me take on Meiti Allah. They talked about the people. The people have a role to play here. So as a Nigerian, what role should the people play?
Well, definitely the public has a role to play because the security cannot work without the help of the public. The security will not know everything, but the public know a lot. If the public can cooperate with the security, I am sure the security will succeed in no longer time. They will succeed in their assignments. So it is the role of each and everybody. I am happy that somebody mentioned about the role of the media because I always talk from the perspective of my members of the herdsmen. Today, the media has succeeded in pinching us against each and every society in Nigeria. They don't know us, so they come out with all sorts of things to smear our names. When things happen, even before waiting for thorough investigation, they jump to conclusion and allege that crime to have been perpetrated by the herdsman. The entire herdsmen, not criminals among the herdsmen, the entire herdsmen. So you cannot hold a whole race responsible for crimes perpetrated by just some few people in that society. And after all, mind you, we are so many in the country. We are about 30 million in Nigeria. And the Fulani issue is not even a national issue in Nigeria. It's an international issue. We have presence in about 23 countries in Africa. And in Nigeria, we live in each and every part of Nigeria. So what we request the public is, let's have understanding. This Fulani man that you see roaming about with his cows he doesn't stay in an area without the knowledge of his immediate Ardo. We have leaders that are called Ardos.
What's the meaning of Ardo?
Ardo is a leader. Mostly the number of cows you have is what will qualify you to be an Ardo within the society you live. These Ardos are not appointed by Miyetti Allah. They are not appointed by government. Ardos are normally appointed by the traditional rulers in charge of the places those Fulanis live. If you go to the Yoruba area, the Ardos are normally appointed by the traditional rulers in charge of those areas. If you go to the Igbo side, they are also appointed by the traditional rulers in charge of those areas. So no Fulani man arrives to a place without reporting to the immediate Ardo in charge of that place.
Do you also claim ownership of the entire country?
How?
I'm just asking.
How? How can we claim ownership of the entire country?
Okay.
We cannot take ownership of the entire country, but we have spread everywhere because of the nature of our way of living. So understanding is what we require. Let people know who an average Fulani man is. This is a person that moves with all he has in this world.
But ultimately, we are talking about what role should Nigerians play in this?
Understanding.
Yeah.
Let's have understanding. Let them understand the Fulani. These Fulanis, they are the same Fulanis that they know 20, 30 years back. We are not troublemakers. We are not. Sometimes we are forced to trouble. When somebody comes to attack you, you have to defend yourself. So sometimes we are forced to. So, but all we are saying is, let's have understanding. Let the media be fair to us. Let the media stop smearing our name by pinching us against each and every society in Nigeria. Understanding is what we need. What is obtainable today is there's a lot of intolerance, suspicion, and mistrust against the Fulanis. So today, because of the media profiling, whatever society cited a Fulani man living around its vicinity, it becomes jittery. Say, trouble has come close to me. It's not that. These guys are not troublemakers. Okay. They are not troublemakers. All we require from the public is understanding. And someone mentioned about sensitization. The government has to be up and doing in sensitizing the public, more especially our members. Our members are mostly not educated. They always roam the wild in search of water and pasture for their hearts. So let's design ways on how we'll get these people sensitized.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Let me take on Joshak. One of them talked about justice. And talking about justice, are there people who are untouchables in Nigeria? Or sacred cows? When they commit, they walk away. Nothing happens to them.
And there is nobody that is untouchable. The law is no respecter of any persons. And that's why we're saying that crimes that are committed, it would be better if members of the public know that without their inclusion, without interest from members of the public, without participation from members of the public, and you want to leave security to the security agencies, you will get it wrong. When you are aware of what is happening in your environment, that's patriotism. We must be nationalistic. We must believe in this country, and we must believe that we have something to contribute. And because of that, it is very, very easy to nip in the bud any crime that is about to be committed. And so, there is nobody that is above the law. But because of inability of the individuals to rest his hand and speak out that there is a strange person in our midst, for every crime, there's a trace that is left. For every crime, someone must have an idea of what such criminal has done. But he will hold his peace because he's unpatriotic. And so patriotism will enable us look at those things that people do that are wrong in the society. We should be able to know that a strange person has come into a village. We should be able to know that there are some people by their misdemeanor, by the way they portray themselves, by their action, these are likely to be those who are committing crime. And when you do that and alert the police, then we can do it together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brigadier General Kashika, you have always had an interface with the media. And the callers, two or one of them has talked emphatically about the role of the media. What has been the challenge of the media to security issues in the country? And what is the way forward?
Well, I tend to disagree in the sense that, yes, I agree, just like every other system or institution, there is always room for improvement. But I think the media has been doing tremendously well given the situation it found itself in the present day circumstances. However, there are areas that need improvement, in the sense that the concepts of confrontational journalism or the days of advocacy for independence and all the rest, I think they have gone. There are new concepts and new development in terms of developmental journalism, peace, effort and peace building journalism. I have told you about a workshop that I stumbled upon in Kaduna. I think one of the resource persons came all the way from Kenya because they are having similar, security challenges with Nigerian society. And of course, we need a situation whereby there is improvement in terms of investigative journalism and situating any story in its proper perspective and context, and also localizing it, in the sense that the media, above any other component of Nigerian society, is a kind of self-regulatory body.
Okay.
Because being the fourth estate of the realm is the last resort for the common man.
Okay.
As such, so much as you have so much latitude with the practice of journalism, there is also that grievous responsibility that you should practice it with every sense of responsibility.
Okay.
Nigerian society is such a heterogeneous society, and you have to understand and accept that fact, that whenever you are going to broadcast, print, or share a piece of information, as the case may be, you always have it at the back of your mind, the impact it will have on the well-being of the Nigerian society, especially as it affects the peace and unity, and even the personal liberty and security of the individual concerned.
Okay.
Because whatever that happens to an average Nigerian, it has a kind of, no matter how little, corresponding impact or influence on the security of the other person.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, the program is Tuesday Live. Today we are looking at two issues. The first we are discussing now is curbing insecurity in Nigeria. When we return after the break, we shall be looking at the issue of irregular migrants. But before then, let me quickly say a big thank you to Director, Army Public Relations, Nigerian Army, Brigadier General Sani Usman Kukashika. Thanks for being on Tuesday Live.
It is a great pleasure.
Major General Nuhu Angbazo, Chief of Civil Military Affairs. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And Baba Usman Ngelzama, National Secretary, Meiti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria. Thanks for coming on Tuesday Live.
Thank you very much.
I won't thank Joshak because he is going to continue as my guest.
Okay.
On the next segment of the program. Yeah. So he's going to stay on with me. I'll thank him at the end of the program.
No, you should thank him now because in the spirit of Esprit de Corps.
Of course, thank you. Okay, the spirit of Esprit de Corps. Thanks for being on this segment.
Thank you.
Now we can leave.
Yeah, we'll take a break now. When we return, we shall be looking at the problem of irregular migrants in Nigeria.